You are watching Quest for Dragons on the History Channel. Dragons represent our deepest fears. They are bigger, stronger, more evil than we'll ever be. We associate dragons with fire, one of nature's most mysterious powers. But this link has less to do with our fear of the flame than our terror of the night.
The fear of the dark is probably one of the most basic fears in humankind, and the way we combated it in our early history was with fire. By controlling fire, you're controlling the most primordial fear that exists to humankind. Those creatures that lurk in the darkness beyond the realms of reality. With fire, you control this darkness.
There are real animals that inspire the concept of breathing fire, including, on occasion, man himself. Bombardier beetles can shoot boiling hot liquid. Other animals have the potential to shoot flames.
Lots of animals can produce flammable gases. Cows produce lots and lots of methane, which is very flammable. And it's well known that if cows eat the wrong things, in fact, their first stomachs will swell with flammable gases. There are lots of stories of people, vets standing around with a cigarette in hand and cow's stomach rupturing, and lots of methane is released.
Dragons are a convenient explanation for many natural occurring phenomena. Volcanoes, earthquakes, fires. But sometimes the land itself is thought to be a dragon.
One of the places that I worked was in Swaziland, and this mountain range looked like a sleeping dragon, and that's the way the locals saw it. And I think if you probed them, they would have had much deeper feelings about it. It wouldn't have been that it just looked like a sleeping dragon. In some ways, it was a sleeping dragon, and if you weren't careful, you might wake the dragon up. And if you wake it up, then you're sort of opening Pandora's box, and it might get out of control.
When surrounded by monumental scenery, the dragon becomes the landscape. When surrounded by unsettled waters, the dragon becomes a creature that churns the water.
The whirlpool is the most mysterious and the most dangerous aspect of travel on a river. Waterfalls are dangerous too, but they're easy to understand. Whirlpools, the source is hidden, but it's obviously very, very powerful. And so this fits into the general idea of a great creature that lives down there.
In Dr. Jones's research, he finds cultures who pay great respect to the dragon in the whirlpool.
I was reminded of an Indian group on the Orinoco River that when they would approach whirlpools, they would take red pepper and rub it in their eyes to temporarily blind themselves so they wouldn't gaze upon the whirlpool. The idea being is that looking at the whirlpool was looking into the mouth of the dragon, the eye of the dragon. It could be literally temporarily blinding yourself in reverence to the dragon that lived in the whirlpool.
The association between dragons and water is similar to the link between dragons and young maidens. Life itself.
I think that the connection of water and dragons is the fact that water is the basis of life. So what greater danger would there be than this satanic monster, the dragon, that's sitting in the middle of your river, or who lives at the bottom of your well? Dragon wells are a very common image in Europe, for example. The dragon is just another way that the dragon is attacking the whole basis of the society, is the access to water, the control of water.
One of the most famous dragons in the world is still assumed to be alive and well, swimming in a body of water called Loch Ness.
There are lots of people out there in the world today that believe in these mystical creatures, Loch Ness Monster, beasts all over the world inhabiting these remote bodies of water, and every once in a while people see them. I would actually like to entertain the idea that these things are around, but as a scientist, in the back of your mind, you're always saying, well, it's impossible.
There have been several sightings of Nessie over the years, but none confirmed.
Logically, to hide animals that big for that long and so completely from us without any kind of hard evidence at all is highly unlikely. But man, I tell you, I'd be the first one on a boat for looking for Ogopogo or Loch Ness if I really thought they were real.
Many tales of dragons begin with dead animals, including whales.
Imagine finding a bone of one of these mighty whales on the beach today. Now, under the eyes of science, we know exactly which bone fits where, and we can understand the animal's anatomy completely. But wind the clock back 200 years, and you pick up a similar bone on the beach. You can reconstruct some pretty incredible monsters from a single bone. Your imagination would run absolutely wild.
You don't need to turn back the clock. People are still finding unidentifiable carcasses and wondering, have we finally found a dragon? Since man first appeared on this planet, he has been discovering remains of unknown animals. He sees oversized bones or footprints or carcasses and envisions a dragon. But would there be dragons without these clues?
I don't think we need any excuses to create the mystical monsters that are in our imaginations. We've never had to have bones in the ground to suggest fairies to us. It just so happens that there are bones of dinosaurs in the ground that fit in with that concept of dragon, and we know that that exists in Chinese and Eastern culture, but we don't need to see that. I think we would invent those things without any stimulus from going along, looking at the ground and seeing bones and saying, wow, what sort of creature left those bones behind? We invent creatures. We are imaginative animals ourselves, and we can do this without any help from the fossil record.
But what happens in a place where a world-class fossil record is combined with a highly inventive culture?
China's it's the most wonderful place in the world in so many ways. I mean, for us as paleontologists, it's one of the places, of course, where you have more dinosaur bones than almost anywhere else. You go to just about every province in China and you will find dinosaur bones. So it's something that's very familiar not only to the scientists but to the people who live there. Nevertheless, when you look at Chinese culture, of course, you don't so much see dinosaurs as you see dragons.
There is a simple reason for this. In China, the dragon is real.
We were told that if we went up this hill over here and talked to this man, he was in fact somebody who collected dragon bones for medicinal purposes. And sure enough, he took us to a site up the hill where he got his dragon bones.